Now I'm going to ask an adjunct question to Mark about another aspect, which is equally as important as the primary question, because you can start to see now in the hierarchy how things start to shift. But I also want to ask something else before I go into this other question. Mark, when you started to describe how it felt, the freedom and the openness to be able to grow with this new primary question, did you find that it became like even brighter, more colorful, more flex and flow, not so much push it where you were like trying to strive or driver all the time? You were less orange and living more in yellow and green than ever before. For those of you that aren't familiar, those are the levels of consciousness. Red is like power God, always just pushing and doing. There's all these different levels. There's tribal, there's I'll say more elevated, there's more peaceful, which is like green. Blue is very rules driven, but orange is striver driver. And I know Mark in business in the past, and he was very striver driver. True, buddy?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So where did you find yourself living more? And did you find that it was actually easier in that there was more availability of options and opportunity to grow and cultivate when you were actually open to the energy by comparison to being tight and closed off?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It was like a green. And the thing I remember saying to myself is like, whoa, I can't believe I've rid myself of this burden and curse that it served me so well, but it really was a curse because when I really sat down and I went, whoa, I can't believe this change is so simple and it's here. I was amazed at how other people just stepped in. And for me, I was always wanting to solve problems. Then
Right.
other people in my company just started solving problems. And I was just like, wow, I can sit around and just go, thank you. And it made me just rise up. And it was just so much easier. Like
Yeah.
it was shocking how easier everything became. So it's beautiful because now I can just support people and I don't have to have this curse of having to solve every problem every
Mm.
time.
Well, I also know too that you shifted from being less of a business operator into being a business owner.
Yeah.
And one of the fundamental shifts that a lot of people don't understand, that especially if you own your own businesses, you're like going, but it's all on me. I'm the realtor. I'm the deal maker. It's like, no, you're actually the one who's taken responsibility for those things. And the truth is that when you remove yourself and become more the owner, what you'll find is that living in that beautiful state of giving and edifying and empowering other people and delegating actually gives you more freedom. Doesn't mean that you lose control. It actually means that you have a heightened sense of control because now you're allowing other people to really grow in their gifts. If you're like this all the time and that's how you're walking around the office, you know how other people start to become frightened, because now they go, uh-oh, code blue, code blue. What does code blue mean? Oh, they're having a minute. They're having a moment. They're in that zone. All of a sudden, you're like, oh, where is everybody? Oh, they had appointments. They're out. They're at lunch. It's 10:30. They had an early lunch. That's like, no joke. People will find conveniences to be away. And then all of a sudden, when you start to find that people are like in this very loving, gracious environment, they're like, well, man, things have changed here. What's different? They'll even look at you and go, what's different about you? Is that a new shirt? Did you do something different with your hair? It's like, what's that thing on your face? Oh, it's a smile. My bad. I haven't seen that in a while. Interesting. Is this starting to make some sense around when we start talking about the drivers that actually move us forward, the things that give us that enthusiasm?
Yes.
How many of you have ever met someone you're like going, oh my gosh, this person is so freaking driven all the time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Have you ever asked yourself this question now? Is this person happy?
I have.
Yeah, it's kind of freaky because there's a lot of people I know with a lot of freaking money. And you know what else they have a lot of? A lot of freaking stress and a lot of freaking frustration. Some of them have a lot of freaking failed marriages and a lot of psychological problems with their children. And they can't figure out why, but they make a lot of freaking money. Money does not equate to happiness. It doesn't. It just changes your level of capacity to have different experiences. And for those that are addicted to challenging experiences, that just means that they can afford to have even higher levels of challenging experiences. Talk to anyone who's made a ton of money who hasn't elected to actually live a life of fulfillment, and they will show you the roadmap to a hell of a lot of insecurity in some ways. And you pray that they shift. So, Mark, I have a more powerful question for you, brother. And thank you for being so transparent and sharing, because I know a lot of times this stuff is very intimate, to what we're discussing. But isn't it cool to know that someone as successful as Mark, who is as elevated as he is in so many different ways in his life, personally, professionally, not just as a man, but as an athlete, there's many things. There's a lot of things you don't know about this guy. If you have the chance to sit down with him over tea or coffee in a properly socially distanced environment, just so I can put that out there, then do so, because he is one of the most beautiful human beings you could ever meet in your entire lifetime. So just putting that out there. Mark, what did you find was your new mission statement after you had gone through this primary question? Because I can only imagine what your mission statement must have looked like afterwards. So the purpose of your life.
And honestly, I can't actually remember.
That's okay.
That mission statement. But,
that's okay.
And that sort of goes back to, what I have with my eye disease, because I don't get reinforced by paperwork, but I get reinforced by feelings.
Yes.
And the main feeling that I carry after that is my mission is to love and connect and appreciate what we all have. And that includes me with everyone.
That's beautiful.
I keep it that simple.
So here's what's really cool. Did you all notice that he wasn't like real specific? Like, I, Mark Benz, the purpose of my life is to love and appreciate myself and everyone else. How often do you think he does this? Mark, how often do you do this?
All the time. There's
all
many moments in a day, Chuck.
Why is this important? Because we make our outcomes and our goals so freaking specific, and we make them so difficult to meet. So I'll share this with you, and thank you for that, Mark, because that's absolutely beautiful, brother. How often do you think he's lit up during the course of a day? All the freaking time. Anytime he can love and appreciate himself or anyone else. A gesture, a gift, a response, an opportunity, an interaction, a phone call. Dang. Love that. Permission to borrow that, brother. I mean, seriously. Yeah. Because the truth is, if you can make being happy and fulfilled easy. So I started asking people questions. You really want to have a more empowering outcome? Ask more powerful questions. They don't have to be difficult. They don't have to be intellectual. They don't have to be, tongue twisters or questions meant to stymie people. Start asking people questions like this. So, Mark, I noticed that the purpose of your life is to be even more grateful. What makes you feel grateful? You feel grateful anytime. What?
Oh, I'll give you the simplest, and I don't mean to, sort of gross people out. Anytime I just get up, smile, go to the bathroom, feel the weather, anything. Like, these are all amazing things in life that we completely ignore.
Yes, we do.
And actually, just when the kettle was boiling, I was looking at this kettle going, it is wild how this kettle makes this sound, because it's an old-fashioned whistle kettle. And it's just like, this is cool.
That's really cool. I was reminded the other day on Christmas Day, I hadn't got to see my mother-in-law, who's 85, in over 9 months because of COVID. And of course, we were being very careful. And so we'd already gone through COVID here in my household, which sucks. I pray none of you have to go through it. Um, but so we went down and visited her, and we watched this movie. We actually watched two movies over the last couple of days. We watched the movie Soul. It's an animated movie with Jamie Foxx. If you haven't had a chance to watch this movie yet, I don't care if you have children or not, you watch it. It's on Disney Plus. It is remarkable. And there's two questions that I'll ask you, and you'll be able to answer them after this movie. What is your purpose, and what is your spark? And I'll leave it at that. Because yeah, it's the movie's called Soul.
What's the second question?
What is your purpose, and what is your spark?
Spark.
See, oftentimes in life, when we feel like we're looking for our purpose, we're looking for what juices us, we're looking for what fulfills us. Your purpose is not your spark. That's the one clue I will give you. And what sparks you is exactly kind of what Mark was talking about, which is when you can love and appreciate even more everything that's going on around you. And you get to own that. You get to feel that. And you will have these magic moments in your life that are so vivid and so clear. And unfortunately, you'll also experience people, ourselves included at times, when we become tarnished by the emotional plaque of what we consider suffering. And suffering is nothing more than this, my friends. It is when you have this blueprint which you did not actively select or create, but you adopted. And then you have your life conditions. And where suffering starts to occur is when we don't feel like we can close the gap between the two. And that's exactly what suffering is. When you can take baby steps every single day. And so this is something I've done with my children since the time they were born. So for the last 20 years, with all three of my beautiful souls in my house, including my wife. And we ask ourselves, how do we want to feel most often? And what needs to happen in order to feel that way? View a sunset, play with the dogs, hug another human being, kiss someone, look in their eyes, appreciate the person staring back in the mirror, the sweat after a good workout, the cold water that I rinse off with every morning when I shower. Because I'll tell you what, you know you're alive when you've gone from a warm shower to a very cold shower very quickly. It is exhilarating. The fact that I still have hair on my head. I'm happy. It's like, as I was reminded by my hairstylist the other day, it's so funny, the things that you can be happy for, that my car starts, that I woke up, that I drew breath, that the last person I saw when I went to bed was my beautiful wife, and the first person I got to rejoice in was my beautiful wife, that I have love of my children. There are so many ways for me to experience happiness and gratitude. It's beyond measure. And Mark, I love your new mission statement as well, brother. That's really important, because oftentimes we get really good at asking questions, everyone, but we don't make a commitment. And your mission statement is exactly that. What is your purpose in life? Not your spark. What's your purpose? Mine, being a loving, guided gift from God, and to share whatever talents I've been bestowed through myself with others. Something so simple. So anytime, if it's listening, conversation, sharing, caring, loving, smiling, moving, anyone who knows me knows I love to move. Part of my DNA. It's just a matter of what's going to give you the meaning in your life. The guiding force is literally the juice and the spark that's within you. And that's one of the reasons why I say watch this movie. There's a second movie, and you're going to laugh when I tell you what it is. Wonder Woman 84. Watch this freaking movie. It's It's on HBO Plus. There's a lesson, and believe me, the movie is riddled with it. This is another lesson that we taught our children years ago, and this is part of your guiding force. Everything in life has a currency. Everything. Time, money, intention, heart, integrity, soul. You will spend some form of currency, most notably yourself. You are your single greatest asset that you have influence over. You. And in order to achieve and receive, you will have to give something. Nothing is for free. Except one thing. One thing is for free, as long as you cherish it. So even that has a consequence, and that is your life. You didn't ask for it, you were gifted it.